So you've decided you want to learn to code. Congratulations, I think. Now comes the question that every developer asks when they're first getting started. Where do I start? If I had to start over, this is what I'd do. I would have a goal. This sounds silly, but I don't have enough fingers or toes to count how many people just say they want to learn how to code. Learning to code is not a goal. Building the next big to-do app is a goal. When you have a goal, you have focus. Without focus, you will quit. So without a goal, you will give up. So ask yourself, what do you want to do with code? Do you want to build a ChatGPT killer? Do you want to develop LLM models? Do you want to build portfolio sites? Do you want to make video games? Do you want to create the next Patreon? All of these are worthy goals, but each need different approaches. Knowing what you want to do ahead of time helps you narrow down your approach. That way, you don't end up trying to boil the ocean when it comes to learning something new. You instead get to channel your inner child with a magnifying glass and an anthill. Ah, the good old days of playing God on a Saturday afternoon. So what do you want to build? Be specific. Is there a problem in this world that you think you can solve with code or with technology in general? Seek out how you might solve that problem. Be specific, but not too specific that you pigeonhole yourself into just being that guy. You want to have some flexibility as you learn and grow. Don't be afraid to shift your goal as you learn, but stay focused. Be patient with your goal. You're not going to solve the world's issues in 24 hours. You'll need at least 48. But you can start building your Hello World app as you start learning the fundamentals. Next, I'd choose a language and ignore the critics. But man, those critics are loud. I wanted to learn how to automate some boring stuff I was working on at work. I saw there was a neat book called Automate the Boring Stuff with Python. I couldn't automate it, so I didn't read it, but I heard good things about it. But that's exactly what I wanted to do. I wanted to automate the boring parts of my job. So I started with Python. This was actually a great move. Python is beginner friendly because it's really close to writing code in English. A lot of the syntax is easy to pick up, which makes learning the fundamentals pretty easy. Here's a dirty little secret about the programming world. What you choose as your first language doesn't matter. All programming languages have the same fundamentals. So stick with one programming language and learn it really well. If you do, you'll essentially know how to use every programming language outside of the syntax. This is how I went from Python to JavaScript with no issues. Heck, I bet I could pick up Ruby easily. Why? The fundamentals of all programming languages are things like variables, arrays or lists, objects or dictionaries, functions, and loops. Yes, for you purists out there, I probably missed a few. Give me a break, I'm a YouTuber, not a real developer. Regardless, all those things I just mentioned are common across all programming languages. So if you learn what a variable is in Python, it's not like you have to relearn what a variable is in C++. How you define or declare it might be different, but come on, that's what Stack Overflow is for. Python is also great because outside of a few edge cases, it's a great way to dip your toes into many different pools of programming. If you want to learn web development, Python has Flask and Django. If you want to learn about LLMs, there are many libraries in Python that can help you do that. Statistical analysis, there's a library for that. How do you choose your first programming language? Well, what's your goal? If you want to do web development, you probably want some HTML, CSS, and JavaScript knowledge. You can't ask ChatGPT to do all of it for you. If you want to work with video games, you'll need to know a different set of technologies. If you're working with data science, there are tons of other options out there as well. If you want a job in coding, look up job listings for the type of job you want. Look at the technologies they're using and do some research on those technologies. If you have a general idea about your goal, you can search or ask AI what coding languages you need to get a job in the field you're interested in. But honestly, don't overthink it. Since you're learning the same fundamentals, I just encourage you to get started. If you don't have a specific goal in mind yet, I would recommend Python. It's popular and beginner-friendly. There's lots of documentation and communities out there that can help you in learning how to use it. JavaScript is another option to consider. Everyone and their mother knows how to code in a JavaScript framework. I mean, even your cousin probably invented some obscure JavaScript framework. Go ahead, ask them. The key here is to stay focused on one language. You're not missing out on anything while you're learning the fundamentals. Do not attempt to touch the shiny objects. The grass is not greener on the other side. Get good at one language first, then you can move on as you see the need. Another dirty secret? Most experienced programmers choose the best programming language for the job. Even if they don't know the language, they know enough about the fundamentals to figure it out. Similar to picking a language is finding a code editor. I prefer JetBrains products, but you can use VS Code for free or one of its AI forks. WebStorm and PyCharm both have community editions you can use for learning. There are many other options, but you honestly can't go wrong. Just choose. I should have honestly learned version control way earlier than I did. So learn version control, please. Imagine you have an amazing Hello World app that just works, but you want to add some new code to this amazing working app. You add the code and your amazing Hello World app breaks. You don't know why or how, so you have to delete everything and start over. Now imagine you had a way to branch away from your amazing Hello World app. Then you can make changes in a world isolated from the main code, so when you break your amazing Hello World app, you can roll back to its former glorious self with a command. That's what Git can do for you. Git is version control. Git helps you go back to a previous working state of your app if you break something. Git is how you work with teams of developers on the same project without breaking anything, causing arguments, or cussing. It's not difficult to learn. Generally, you'll be using 3 or 4 commands. Git add adds the files to your repository or repo. Git commit stages those changes with a message to the main code repository or branch. Git push actually sends those changes to the repo. I'll throw in a bonus command, which is git checkout-b, which switches to a new branch that you create with a new name. Git checkout is how you switch between all the different branches you have in your repo. Let's be honest, while it's not too difficult to learn, it took me way too long to actually go in and learn it and start applying it to my projects. In fact, sometimes I still make the silly mistake of making a bunch of changes to my main branch without using version control. I am not a smart man. There's more to version control, sure, but Google or AI can help you with those commands. What I've told you is enough to get started. If I had to start over today, I would gather as many resources as I could. There are millions of resources out there. I'm one of those resources. So what resources should you collect? There are sites like daily.dev that can help you collect resources worth reading. There are RSS feed sites like Feedly that aggregate articles you're interested in. It takes time to build those up to be what you want them to be, though. Hey, here's a project idea. Create an RSS feed reader where you can enter in your favorite sites' RSS feeds to show you new articles they post. You can also find resources worth following in something like Reddit or even YouTube. Then you can build from there. As with most things in life, start small. Don't overlook documentation. In fact, documentation is probably the most important resource for a developer. If you haven't spent any time in documentation, please stop watching my tutorials. They will not help you without understanding what you're working with. This is actually the true danger of vibe coding. If you don't know what you're working on, but your boy Claude Code is turning out your code, you're not going to learn anything and you're going to have a really brittle application, if it works at all. When I started, I bookmarked every piece of Python documentation I thought I would need. Things like SQL Alchemy, Alembic, the requests library, all of it. I, of course, ended up Googling all of it again anyway, so maybe that wasn't the smartest thing. I will say it again, I am not a smart man. Documentation is your friend. Don't be afraid of documentation. On that, stop trying to memorize documentation. There's only so much your brain can hold. Don't make your brain hold more information that's easily referenced. Make your brain hold information that can't be easily referenced. Documentation exists to make your life easier. Don't shy away from using AI as a resource. I say this all the time. LLMs are not bad. Relying on LLMs is bad. If you find yourself copy and pasting from AI, knock it off. Stop that right now. Coding what you're reading helps you understand what the code does. It also builds muscle memory. The same is true for Stack Overflow, for what it's worth. If you copy and paste someone else's code, you likely don't understand what it means. Write it out, line by line, and try your best to understand what it's doing. If you don't understand it, either hit up Reddit or ask AI to explain it. AI doesn't do too bad a job explaining Python or JavaScript code. Just don't expect it to know anything about frameworks or software from the past 6 months or so. I will toot my own horn here. My newsletter and YouTube channel are great resources. My newsletter is pretty cool. It's called Next in Dev. It's not the coolest name, maybe I should rename it. Anyway, I include modern web dev and AI news in that newsletter and include a tip every now and then. I focus on Next.js, Payload CMS, and a few other pieces of modern web dev tech. But there's something for everyone in there. The same is true for my YouTube channel. I mean, you're here now, you might as well subscribe, stay a while, and see what I have to offer. You can even support me through Patreon if you'd like, which enables me to continue to make content like this. One last resource worth considering is Google. or whatever your favorite search engine is. There's a vast quantity of information out there. Use search engines to find that information and help you learn what you're doing. The last thing I would do if I was starting over is I would start building projects as soon as possible. Seriously, start building as soon as possible. You already have everything you need to get started. I know what you're thinking, but I don't know enough. Crazy how I know what you're thinking, right? Wrong. I know what you're thinking because that's what everyone thinks before they start building something. So what can you do? You can try to code something that you think is useful. For example, I created a Python script to run the sitemap at one of my jobs through Google's Lighthouse score. I also created tools using APIs that helped me in my day-to-day work. If you need ideas, you can always ask Google or AI what some beginner-friendly ideas are. Start small. Don't try to reinvent Gmail. Start with a single idea and build the project from there. Now I'm going to say something, and when I say this, know that I do recognize that most of my videos are tutorials. But I say with confidence, watching tutorials is not enough to get you proficient at coding. You need to start doing something with your knowledge. Apply it and try new things. If you do watch a tutorial, see what they're building and try it out for yourself first. Only progress the tutorial when you think you're stuck. Focus on clarity over cleverness. It can be fun trying to figure out how to do many lines of code in a single line, but that's not practical or helpful. There's almost no reason to do one-liners if they aren't clear. Writing clear code that you can go back to and understand 6 months later is more important than getting your lines of code down. Trust me, if you don't document and add comments to your code, you will forget what the code does. And don't be afraid to break stuff. You learn to Git, and you're not working on production projects yet. There's no risk to experimenting and breaking your projects. You'll learn more if you do. So now you have everything you need to start coding. Now go on, Git, and I'll see you in the next one. Want to learn more about Payload CMS? Check out my Payload CMS videos by clicking on the playlist on the left. What about Next.js? I've got a playlist on the right for that.